I think this planet really rocks. Hello, I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deep, and welcome back to Let's Play Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. In the last episode, we started Neostar, did the first 2 levels, and died a lot, and in today's episode, we are going to hopefully finish up Neostar, and for that, let's go right into the next level. So, as I've said before, also I've changed the format on the bottom, so I've said before, the levels in Kirby 64, like, even though we're on Neostar, which is like a prehistoric world type level, they like to embody a lot of tropes, or a lot of versions of that trope. So now we're in like this mountainy canyon area. I have no idea how to describe this area actually, but we will be starting off the episode by getting one of my favorite power-ups in the game, and it's a new one too. It's Rock and Spike, it's Drill. This ability is so awesome. All you need to do basically here is hold down the button and the drill will propel you forward and launch off as soon as you release the button. The fire drill pierces through enemies and it just does a ton of damage. It is unstoppable. It increases your forward momentum. It pierces through walls. Also, you need a spike to get through that orange block, and is just all around one of the best power-ups in the game. Just definitively. I'm pretty sure, like, it's a projectile too, so you can just press the button to fire it if you don't want it to drag you along, but even this, like, this increases your forward motion and is higher than your default speed, so there is no downside to this power-up as far as I'm aware. I can't think of a situation where you wouldn't want a power-up like this, so yeah, we don't need to keep the power-up now that we have it, but I'm going to hang on to it because it is just awesome and I'd like to show it off more. Certainly more than Dynamite, and I can't think of a section where a power-up like this would not be useful. We will be using it later as well. I think there's another Crystal Shard that needs it, but other than that, it's just all-around good power-up. A good designed power-up. Also gonna break through these blocks. I gotta say though, the little stars that are usually in blocks and usually off to the sides are never really worth it, because you need 30 of them to get a life, but they're not nearly as abundant as, say, coins in a Mario game. So usually, you'll be getting lives from the little stars very infrequently, and honestly, you don't really need them. I know I've been dying a lot in this playthrough, but as a Kirby game, you generally won't need it. But then maybe you do, so maybe collect as many as you can. I mean, it feels good to pick them up too. They're cute little things. So we come down this pathway, and Adeline is just, you know, spending her time painting pictures up on the cliffs. That's real nice, but funnily enough, you can't actually get Kirby to face the picture. Fine. Stubborn pink blob. So her picture was of an umbrella. So our job is to make an umbrella out of these blocks. Now, this used to be one of my hardest, or rather, this was one of those tasks that took me the longest time to actually do the first time I played this game, because even though it's fairly easy to get the pattern that's wanted, it's also kind of tricky. I don't know if I messed that up. Oh, I probably messed that up. I'll be back. Okay, so there's no little turn in the handle, so basically the rounded top is the hardest part. You also want to get rid of these bottom ones, and don't use a power-up here. It's... God dang it. Power-ups usually won't help you very much here, because quite frankly, it's too hard to specifically knock out specific blocks here with anything other than jumping or little puffs of air, so that is your best bet. And if I can get this to work just right, and I know this doesn't look like an umbrella, but this is usually the standards by which the thing is judged. Like I said, this isn't particularly intuitive, but there we go. We got our Crystal Shard for making that shape. And thankfully you get infinite retries if you screw it up the first time, otherwise that would be just a nightmare to do and incredibly annoying, but they were pretty smart about how they did it. So yeah, we're just gonna keep tearing through this level with our drill, which is just awesome. And then there are these weird sandwich platforms that just drop you to your death if you're not careful. I don't like the new format at the bottom below that's kind of like done with crayons. There's something about it that just doesn't look that great to me. I don't know. Even though the crayon aesthetic does work for Kirby, it doesn't really... maybe it's the choice of colors down below that bug me. Those platforms keep on falling and they keep being dangerous. There is also a lot of food in this level. Although I do appreciate that there are plenty of healing items throughout like the levels, especially considering how in the last episode I showed how easy it is to die just by taking stupid hits like I did. Also, falling down here is where you get that crystal shard. It looks like it might be a little obtuse to find, but I think you can see a glimpse of it when you're standing like right here, so it kind of fixes itself, and I'm getting hurt more. No, my drill! Get back here. And that takes care of that. So we platform through the sky on these platforms that have no justification, and there's a K, and there's an I, and there's an R, and a B. What is it trying to tell us? Kirby! Oh, Kirby's narcissism extends to planets beyond his own. I'm just gonna guess that Kirby's, errant drills that he's been firing just drilled that out of the geography. That's how I like to imagine it anyway. I think too much about these things. Character narcissism in games is weird, how names of characters can just appear in places, and it's okay in games like this that are just kind of cute and self-aware and very aware of the fact that they're a video game. But, I don't know. I don't mind anyway. Anyway, I'm just going into this level real quick to get the ice power-up, and I will meet you back at Neo Star when I get it. And we're back at Neo Star, and the reason that I went out of my way to get an ice power-up is because we need an ice power-up to get a crystal shard in this level, similar to the dynamite one in the other level. That is to say, we need ice to get one of the crystal shards near the end of the level here, but, well, there's no ice power-up in this level, so you need to get it and carry it throughout the level. But I'm ignoring the fact that we're at a giant exploding volcano, and this is a very bad idea. And also, I'm a giant snowball, because when I got Ice and Ice, which we haven't seen yet, it changes from Ice Breath to a giant snowball that just kind of rolls along. And like the Needle power-up, this increases your forward motion, it destroys enemies in your way. It's generally a very good power-up, and one of the best abilities, particularly for this level. This is a very long level, and there are plenty of opportunities and enemies that can kill you along the way. So your best bet in this level, if you don't want to die partway through and then have to start over with the ice power-up, then your best bet is to take this because it's all around reliable. And you can also just mash the button twice for a little outward burst of ice and snow that will kill enemies around you. It's a pretty good power-up, but it's also limited by the terrain on which you use it, because obviously I can't use the snowball where it will dump me into the lava like that. But on terrain like this, where there's like a downward slope or even just a flat surface, it's great. It's perfect for that. So we get in here, and King Dedede shows up again to help us in this volcano because he doesn't trust us. And man, that hot outfit must be really hot. I mean, like his coat and his hat. He's a polar. He usually hangs out in polar areas. Well, at least in the early games he did, but anyway, must be super hot. In my experience with this level, it's usually very easy for King Dedede to kind of like underestimate your jump, because I think he can't really jump as far as Kirby can, or rather he hits the ground sooner. My point is, it's very easy to fall in the lava in this section, and it's important to be careful. However, I really do like these King Dedede sections, as I've said before, because it's just fun. It's cathartic to go around swinging your hammer, especially because this game doesn't have a dedicated hammer power-up. There's a crystal shard hiding up in there. It doesn't have a dedicated hammer power-up like most Kirby games do. And hammer power-up is one of my favorite power-ups in the entire series. It's just awesome and powerful, and it's usually one of the strongest power-ups in the series and one of the rarest, so it makes sense that it's so strong. And Kirby's like, I can do this alone. So King Dedede just throws him away. That's great. Now we got another little forward path here, so we can roll along. These blocks, though, will make you break out of your snowball, but it's no big deal. Now here you can kind of go for a little bit, but I think if these Gordos hit you, they will do damage. And I want to get that sandwich because I'm actually kind of low on health now that I look at it, and for how long this level is. Or maybe I'm just crazy about how long this level is. No, it's pretty long. We still have a very significant way to go, and we haven't even gotten to the last crystal shard, or the next crystal shard, which is not the last one, but the second one, because that's the one that needs the snowball, and that's pretty far in the level, and I'm gonna stop talking. Overall though, if you take your time or have a power-up like this, you're okay, especially with these Bronto birds, which just fly right into your snowball, and there's nothing you can do with it. Cute detail about this power-up: when you explode the snowball, any enemies you've picked up along the way will fall out of the snowball. I think after you've hit a certain amount, they start deleting themselves, because that's a lot of enemies otherwise coming out of the snowball. And here we have these very weird lava flows that are very... How do they maintain, like, that tube, that arc, the arc? Lava is heavy, and I don't know. I'm not a geologist. And here is what we've needed the snow power up for. So this block is very not innocuous. You know from the beginning that there's definitely something here. So you use the power up and it breaks that, and it gets you the crystal shard. My problem with this particular crystal shard is that it's hidden in a block which, well, for all intents and purposes, it was brown and red. You might be able to glean that this is a fire level and cold power-ups would be useful here, but it breaks the consistency of the game in color coding walls that can be broken by power-ups. So it's a little off-putting to me in that regard, especially since there's no ice power-ups in this level for you to experiment with. But there's no time to complain anymore because we are being followed by a giant wall of lava. Rule of video games, rule of thumb, if you go to a volcano, there are good odds that at some point that volcano will erupt. I mean, just off the top of my head, the only volcanoes I can think of that don't erupt are, well, the one in Ocarina of Time does erupt, technically, after you're done with it, so, yeah, I can't think of a volcano in a game that doesn't erupt at some point in the story, so really it's just kind of a bad omen going volcanoes. Like, this isn't technically an eruption, it's just like a big old lava flow, and you kind of have time here. You don't have to rush too much, especially if you have a power-up that just kind of lets you go at your own pace. Hello, giant lava fall, you do not intimidate me. And that's not instant kill or anything, so you kind of have a little bit of time here. And the ability to fly does kind of nerf the dangerous precariousness of the platforming here. So yeah, but it's a Kirby game, so that's just how it is. And that takes care of that. We have escaped the giant lava flow, and it kind of hardens, but you get no time to rest, because now this is actually the harder part of this section, is where the lava is rising. Now we're getting closer to a proper eruption. I missed the one-up down there on the far right, but oh well, what can you do? You kind of want to keep to the left here, and that is where we'll be getting our crystal shard. This section actually reminds me of the Metroid escape sequences with these platforms and how they're placed. It's very Metroid 1-esque, and it's cool. Although, again, it's not nearly as precarious because Kirby can fly and you have plenty of opportunities, but you don't want to get too lazy because when you get up here, there are these blocks that will be in your way, and these ones up here are kind of hard to hit with the snow power-up. So yeah, I should have changed power partway through, but that's okay, and I'm gonna get rid of you, eat you, and leave this level. And that's that level for us. We got a card. So even though this volcano is clearly unstable, we're gonna hang out in it a little bit longer to fight the boss, Magman. I think it's Magman. Magman is a giant lava monster. He's made of magma. So first phase, you're on these blocks. Pretty standard stuff. He'll throw his lava tentacles at you, and you just attack them. Fairly standard stuff, and you get very obvious cues. He'll try to push you up into the spikes above or the lava above. I don't think that's lava above, but spikes. Ow! I want to combine Cutter with fire here because I want to show off the fire sword again because it's pretty useful and awesome. It's kind of funny that this works, actually, for how ridiculous it is. How you're using fire on fire, but I guess it's also a blade. But Kirby, as far as I can tell, doesn't really ever deal with, like, elemental rock, paper, scissors. No! And he tried to collapse his tentacles in on us, but it was not enough, and we stopped him. But we are moving on to phase 2, where he is consuming the bricks that we've been standing on, and he's coming right at us. We throw that at him, but it doesn't do anything yet because, well, here we are in phase 2. You don't attack his body, you have to attack his face. When he does this, you need to get close to him and duck. If you're not close to him, you will not duck under his flames. Anywhere over here, you will take damage. Here, he spits rocks from the ceiling, and, well, doesn't spit them, but he throws them from the ceiling. He can also make a pool of himself underneath you. This fight is going very well, actually. Also, the blade is good at just catching those guys because they go above you, and it's a great shield also against the rocks just from above, and it looks cute. And you don't even need to duck, you just need to stand here. But I digress, that's basically his entire moveset, so let's wrap this up with one well-timed hit. And take out these birds. And I throw my sword, and he, melts? I don't know exactly what happened there, but whatever. Big crystal shard, we have beaten Neostar. Yeah, you're real great, Kirby. And Waddle Dee nearly died. See, I told you that you shouldn't be hanging out near active volcanoes. But, oh well, that's just the nature of a video game, where volcanoes tend to explode. So that is the end of Neostar, and great progress for this episode. In the next episode, we'll be moving on to level 5, Shiver Star, the ice level of the game. It's gonna be nice and spooky. So, I hope to see somebody in the next one. Bye-bye!